Hey everybody, I'll show you what I've been working on for the last, geez, what feels like for friggin' ever. Um, so this is kind of most of my electronics for the Civic, and I guess I'll just kind of start some of the little gadgetry that I've been screwing around with. This little device right here is just a microcontroller with an MCP2515 that allows me to program a bunch of C code and then kind of just run some logic-based things on CAN messages, effectively to check if anything that I'm trying to do is going to work, or if my code is sloppy and I have to kind of, screw around with that. It's pretty much just a little debug module. Um, so this thing over here is kind of the same thing, microcontroller MCP2515, and then a Bluetooth module that allows me to take CAN messages that I specify and then blast them out over Bluetooth. And I'm going to have a tablet that is running some software that I wrote to kind of display some of the numbers for, like, mile per hour, fuel, whatever, any of that stuff. It's kind of, I don't really have an exactly what I'm going to do, but this device allows me to bridge that. So if I write the code on this device that formats CAN messages a specific way, once that's done, it's kind of effectively a CAN to Bluetooth gateway. Not a lot of code on it. Super simple. Super simple in my mind. But once you write code for it, you don't really have to, change it. So that's cool. And then my CD7 dash in a wood bezel, gets the normal CAN plug. And then my Haltech ECU, which is currently in wireless mode, a DIY CAN hub, and then a Moristech PDM30 with a couple wires pinned down on it, and then some breakers. The 200 amp breakers for my starter, which I hope is enough, and then the 150 amp basically goes to the PDM. And then I have a CAN-based keypad that I've populated with a couple stickers, and then effectively, this is kind of part of my tailgate that I've recreated. This is a DMX controller that allows me to control a red, green, blue, white LED. And then these wires going into it, that's basically a DMX signal. It's a stage lighting protocol. And then effectively another simple microcontroller, and then a MCP2515. So the idea is effectively the twisted wires here, that is 12 volts, and then CAN high and CAN low. The microcontroller effectively is reading CAN messages that are coming from the PDM, which the keypad can effectively kind of generate. So what I have set up is the CAN keypad with some bunch of configuration on it. And why doesn't this focus? CAN keypad, which I've futzed around with some of the Moristech software, but basically what happens is when you push a button on the keypad that I configure, it sends a message to the PDM, and the PDM then has some configuration options in it that allow me to blast out a CAN message, which this device sees from code that's on this. So kind of as an example, hopefully I won't have to use it, but the original wiring I had on my Civic was I had a bunch of wires going directly to this device that would have just a button on it for when you press hazards. And I was struggling to try to figure out what effectively, like, where to put the hazard switch. And because I have the wood dash in my Civic, I didn't want to make another hole and just having extra buttons was kind of dumb. And then, you know, one of a friend kind of recommended me this thing, and, you know, down the rabbit hole we go pretty much. But kind of what happens is when you push the button on the keypad, the hazard button, it sends a message to the PDM. The PDM goes, cool, I got it. And then you can set up a trigger to basically send out a bit state based on the configuration, so that when the bit state is effectively saying, hey, this particular condition has been met, and then it blasts out a CAN message that gets dumped onto the hub, which every device on the network sees it, and then this sees it, and then that sees it, and then effectively what happens is it runs my code. So this LED here on my Civic is, my Civic has 10 of these circuit boards, and each circuit board controls 4 channels. The channels are red, green, blue, and then white, and then you set the dip switches, and you know, it kind of goes down a rabbit hole really fast. But this whole thing was pretty much in the same kind of setup as in the back of my car, and what I have here on the desk is effectively just one channel. So the top left LED on my tailgate. So you know, I have it in here so I can debug all my stupid spaghetti code. But kind of what happens is when you push the hazard button, the hazard light will flash, and then when you declick it, the hazard light finishes and then it stops. So that's cool. So you know, after I wrapped my head around that code, I was done screwing around with that, and I don't know, got it working, finally understood it. And then this other keypad, the other button on the bottom right, is kind of my light show sequence. And I'm not really sure kind of what I want to do. I know that they give you a bunch of these stickers here, and when I was looking at them, I saw a bunch of numbers that I could put there, but I don't really know. I haven't kind of made up my mind. But what ends up happening is I kind of went a little bit kind of full ham with setting this up, but the light show sequence button, the bottom right button, does the same thing the hazard button does, with a little bit of a twist. So when you push the button, CAN message is sent to the PDM. PDM goes, cool, I got it, and then it sends out a different bit state, and then the microcontroller sees that bit state is changed, and then it runs my specific sequence of loops until the button is not pressed. So kind of what I've done is when you push the button, the light show sequence will start, and when and there's another red button there, or a red light there. So when I push this again, it goes back to amber or orange, and then the red light is still on the right. And when this light show finishes, what it does, well, I guess, yeah, I guess when the light show finishes, what happened is when I push the button there, it changes to green, and when it does that, the PDM says, hey, the light show sequence has started, and then it sends out a bit state, and then this device sees that bit state has changed, and it sends a response that the PDM receives, and then it responds with indicating that the light show sequence is running with the red indicator. And this is still actually running, and it should finish up here in just a second. But when it does, this red light should extinguish, meaning that all my silly color-changing light show stuff has kind of gotten done and wrapped up. And as you can see, it just did that, and that's kind of what's happening. But I'm kind of still trying to wrap my head around a bunch of these options that I can put in the PDM. Like, you know, obviously I don't want to have, you know, lights on the back of my car flashing like a police car if the car's on. So I can set up some logic within this software for the Moristech PDM that basically says, hey, when the car's on, then this bottom right-hand button shouldn't be allowed to be pressed, and it'll just kind of do nothing. So I haven't really decided what I'm going to do with the other buttons on the bottom, but kind of I have the ignition button and then the start button for the, starting the starter, and then the start-stop button is obviously when the car's running, you want to press that, and then, car will stop, or the engine will turn off, and then I have I guess the fuel button there, and I'm going to have a motor that kind of pops the gas cap with one of these these little cheap things here at eBay or Amazon. They're pretty inexpensive. And then the hazard button, which I showed you, and then the left and right, that's going to be my left door open and right door open, and I have 4 of those little popper things. And then these buttons here are going to page up, page down for the CD7 display. And then I kind of figured I'll need a light on the inside of the car. So on the cabin light, I don't know if I'm just going to use white LEDs or if I should honestly just... I'm kind of tempted to put another one of these somewhere in the car with red, green, blue, white LEDs. And then when I push the cabin light, depending on if I just want to have a circuit activate and then turn on white LEDs in the car, cool, that's one option. But then the other option is to send a message to this that says, hey, activate this specific device and turn on all white LEDs on this. And I think that'd be kind of neat because, when you're running the stupid light show mode, it'll kind of, crazy light show shit on the inside of the car and on the outside of the car. So that'd be kind of nifty. And then the other buttons here at the bottom, since I'm going to have since the engine I'm building is an H22 with the turbo, I don't know if there's some Haltech stuff that I should be doing, like, I don't know, what is it, like anti-lag and turn that kind of stuff on. I don't know, I haven't really decided what other buttons, other than, a handful of light show sequences, but I'm kind of thinking on the light show sequences that I do for my car that literally just one button, you push it, and then 3 or 4 minutes worth of light show stuff happens, and then it'll just run in a loop, and then, when I want to stop it, I just push the button and wait for the last sequence to finish, and then, boom, it's done. So I haven't quite settled on the rest of those, but I guess the neat thing is, too, is if I want more activities, I can always just, I don't know, buy another keypad and wire 2 of them in, so that'd be kind of nifty. But yeah, with the programming stuff, it's kind of, you can kind of do whatever you want, and, having this stuff on a bench makes it really nice for me to be able to kind of program some stuff, see if it worked, and then, say, oh, that didn't work, or, oh, it did work. But all this stuff's, powered by a little bench power supply, and then little, what is it, CanAble pecan sniffer, or can sniffer that allows me to, dump can messages on and see if any of my code is either working or not. But anyway, yeah, lots of nerdy stuff. Just kind of scratch my head trying to figure out how it works. But I guess if you have any questions, I don't know, throw a message at me. I'll yap at you whenever. Thanks.